All right, what's up? Welcome back. This is What's the Remedy Podcast. It's your boy, Dr. J.
Mr. Wash.
And we have some special guests today. We have Everythang Culture. You guys can introduce yourselves.
Everythang Culture.
Let's put an A on there.
I'm G-Jack.
And I'm your girl, Honeybee. Hey.
Hey. G-Jack Honeybee.
Tagline.
Oh, I don't ever remember this. It's What's the Remedy Podcast is your weekly conversation on mental health, social issues, and other contributing factors plaguing society. And that is the tagline that I never say at the beginning of any episode.
You always forget.
Yeah, I always forget to say. So anyway, we're glad to have y'all here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just to kind of get a little background information on you guys. So how did y'all get y'all start for Everythang Culture?
Well, we have another member, Mr. D713.
Hey.
Yeah.
He'll be so remiss if we did not shout him out.
I know, right? Yeah, unfortunately, he just moved to Seattle a couple of months ago. So his wife got a job at Amazon. And they moved out to Seattle. Well, him and his wife moved to Seattle.
Yeah, that's good.
But me and Mr. D713, we've known each other since pre-K. We lived down the street from each other. We went to the same daycare, and we've been best friends since then. So we both grew up together in Tyler, but we talk on the phone every morning before work. You know, it's kind of like therapy, I guess, to us. Like, we just talk to each other about, like, you know, work or what's going on or whatever, kind of get advice and feedback before we go off on people at work, you know, before we get there.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. And I was telling him, I was like, man, dude, I've been getting into podcasts, like listening to them, and I said, man, it's better than the radio. You can listen to it whenever you want, press play, pause, whatever you got to do, you know, going about your business. So, I mean, you got to check it out. And then, so the more we start talking about it, we get into like heated debates about what was going on in the world and stuff like that. I'm like, man, you know what? We should just start a podcast. And a year later, we just like, let's just do it, man. We got the equipment, made it happen, and the rest is history.
Yeah. They actually had me on for a guest spot one time, and it was about reparations.
Yeah, it was Juneteenth.
And Juneteenth and all that kind of about like the culture. So I went in there and I just like, I guess I did my thing, because then the guys were like, hey, you know, it's three guys, and they were like, we want a girl's perspective. So then they asked me if I would, you know, wanted to join the podcast. I was like, cool, if I could have another platform to share my thoughts, why not? And this probably will save my marriage, because my husband is not into that type of stuff. So I just be talking to him and he'd just be like, okay.
Exactly.
You know, right on. You know? So this allows me to have that platform.
But the main thing I want to get across about ours is, and I forgot to put this out there at the beginning with the story, but me and Mr. D713, we always have different perspectives on stuff. Like you can ask Honey B, like with everything, I'm always looking at it from like a different view than everybody else. I'm like, well, I mean, you gotta look at it from this way. You know, I come from just different viewpoints, and so I'm like, well, we need to start Everything Culture and just get views from other cultures on this particular topic.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Whether we can't just always know what only black people think, only African Americans think. You know,
Right.
We have to kind of get a viewpoint from everybody to really make a good decision, or a good conscious decision. You know,
that is one of the things that attracted me to the podcast, was I felt like it was different. I also like podcasts. I mean, when I would go to the gym, I was tired of listening to the same, you know, records the whole time. And it was like, let me listen to something. And I would get into it. My husband liked podcasts, and he likes, you know, more of the sports and just kind of hip hop and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I like culture stuff, and I really wasn't getting it. Now, I would listen to CNN and some news stuff, but it's not catered to us. But the one thing that I felt like I was missing was somebody else bringing other cultures to our culture and helping people realize that we're more alike than different. And that's the whole thing that Everythang Culture is about, is basically helping people realize we are so much more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
And if we just start opening our eyes to the similarities, we can see how we can bridge that gap. And I think that's that gap of miscommunication and not understanding, hey, we all doing the same thing. We go to work, we trying to make some money, we trying to feed our family, we trying to enjoy life. You know, we pray to the same God or different God, we pray to somebody, or we do something, and we're all for the betterment of our communities. Yeah. We ain't bad people, but there are bad people in every culture.
Yeah. And
then the stereotypes and the media portrayal of African American or even Hispanics or Mexican Americans or Muslim American, I just feel like that's like the stereotypes is what's tearing us down.
Yeah. So you need to be able to look at everybody's culture and incorporate it.
So it's the systematic racism. I'll get into that.
So you can get deep.
Systematic racism, but I mean, it is what it is. So.
No, I understand. That's y'all got a lot going on with that. I like
Yeah,
that. I like that. I like
had,
that conversation.
Like our last guest that we just had on, he was a Latino who was trying to get into politics. And if anybody knows much about politics, the Latino community has always been the lowest voting.
Yeah.
They don't really involve themselves, but now there's this big push because they realize how much not voting or not being involved has hindered them from an immigration standpoint. From once they get into this 2020 census and they realize how this can impact the type of funding and different type of resources that can be provided, they're going to come out and be the second or the first minority.
Yeah.
Right.
If they go and do it. But some people have been they spread lies or mistruth about what the census does, and they might not even want to participate because they think that it has more to do with ICE and sending them back to Mexico and all these other negative things. But what is it, Bob Sugar?
Yeah,
Bob Sugar. No, Adam Sanchez. He went and he was 30 years old. And he went to out this last race to be the mayor of Stafford.
Yeah.
So he was just like, I started figuring out what politics was about and realized there was nobody there representing my community.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think that representation, having a seat at the table.
And I was amazed because it lets you know that you can start anywhere. He said his first time voting was when he ran for mayor. That's his first time ever voting. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
He had never been a part of the process before then.
But as soon as you realize it and start looking at what the process is, you're going to be like, what the?
Yeah.
And you like, I can do something. I can do anything better. I can do something for my community.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's real important to explore all those different parts of culture because, because I've worked in the school system, you start seeing a lot of the different cultures. And you realize that everybody doesn't think the same, and everybody has different things that they were brought up on. So you got to kind of get a good grasp of everything with everybody.
Yeah. Just because this world is a melting pot.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's all of us thrown together. And so especially like you say in the schools, whatever, in your workplace, whatever, you feel like you have so many people that look different, but we share a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like I said, me working with them in the lab, and I remember being in the lab, and I'm being the only black person there.
Yeah.
And certain music's on the radio, whatever, and they look at me crazy, like, we can change that if you want to. And I'm like, no, I know this song.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know this? And I'm like, why should we not know this?
Right.
Yeah.
Because they stereotype you.
Yeah, should we turn on 97.9 right now? Then
Right.
I was like, what the hell? But,
Let me ask y'all this. Are y'all from Houston?
I'm not.
Okay, where are you from?
I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks like,
Well, I'm from Tyler, Texas, like a little small city, whatever, East Texas.
Yeah.
And I can even tell just the cultural shock just moving down here in Houston. I moved here about 5 years ago. Even amongst African Americans, it's just different.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people who grew up in a bigger city, they just have a different mindset than the people who grew up from a small town city. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just the people are just totally different here, no matter what race you are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, culture has so much more to do with just not just skin color, because where you came from, even within this city.
Well, I was like I say, just city stuff, because like I say, when I look at Houston and Dallas, whatever, because Houston is pretty much west southern Louisiana, Dallas is like just the two different cultures, stuff that we do down here.
Yeah,
they were like, y'all do that, y'all eat boudin and stuff like that. We're like, y'all don't.
Yeah,
it's a different culture.
Like I'm saying, we 4 hours away, but it's like we in two different planets.
Yeah, we are. Cause I mean, I lived in Dallas for 7 years, and it was different. It was like
Dallas is more laid back though than Houston, I think.
I mean, I guess I was there at a different time period. Like I was there from when I was 18 to
So you was just
20s.
partying the whole
So I was in college, so I really didn't. I was there partying. I wasn't there engaged in corporate America or going into figuring out the cultural things and you know.
Yeah, but I have heard from people that have lived in Dallas and Houston as I guess full adults.
Yeah.
And they're full adult life. They'll say that there's more going on in Houston. There's more stuff to do. It's always something going on in Houston. In Dallas, you'll find things, but as far as our age group, it's it's a little bit more few and far between in Dallas. I guess because like you said, it's more laid back out that way. So I mean, we'll use that as a transition since we're already talking about culture. We'll just go right into our main segment.
Okay.
So our check yourself segment, usually with our check yourself segment, we try to tie it into some kind of mental health stuff. But since we're talking about culture and culture affects everything that we do, we just want to our main segment is just going to be about the state of the culture. And so I'm trying to think how we're approaching this state of the culture topic.
Okay.
So
the state of our culture.
The state of our, I guess we can say state of our culture. And what is our culture that we're talking about though?
I think the African American culture.
African American? Okay.
Okay.
We can go with that.
Or do you want to say culture as we can? Yeah, maybe we can go even broader if you want to talk about the culture of the United States.
Yeah.
But I think that it doesn't 100% won't overlay with what we're going through.
Right, yeah.
So we want to bring it down to a more
I
micro level.
Y'all is probably a little bit more specific.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh. Now you know I'm about to go off. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. So I would say the state of our culture is at a crossroads. And I say that because we know how much power we have as a culture, because everything everyone does, they try to include us. They try to bring us into it, whether it's consumerism, whether it's trying to get people into diversity at works. And so they have most of the major organizations have included a diversity and inclusion department within their HR department. They're trying to recruit more African Americans, more women. All of these things have come up where they're saying we're a better world if we include more people. However, you see what's going on in politics right now.
Mm-hmm.
You see who our president is. You see the racism. And then they say this, you have, there's a Bank of America commercial that's going out right now where they're going and advertising how much stuff they're doing in the African American community to help us with small businesses. And you know why they're doing that? Because of how many reports came out with them not giving us proper home loans, not giving us the same type of opportunities as other cultures, but at the same time they yell at us to raise, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But then they're systematically behind the scenes like, nah, we're not gonna give these black people this. Oh no, we're not gonna give them the proper education. Oh well, they stay in low income, so we're not even gonna give them the proper resources for their school so they can go to school and everybody can get a book.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of what they do, especially like you're talking about the Bank of America commercials for business loans, I feel like they really do a lot of things to try to appease people because they know how bad things are. Like in order to actually fix the things that they messed up with redlining and all the home loan things,
gerrymandering the shit out of our communities.
All of that, it would take a lot to fix. So they're like, well, we're not gonna fix it, but
we'll help you out. We'll figure out. We'll give you something.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to sit back and say, how can we feel better about the way that we? Do y'all cuss on here or not?
Yeah.
How many different ways have we fucked y'all? We're gonna help y'all in this one area.
Right.
We're gonna come here and we're gonna try to give y'all all these loans. They will not. If you go in there right now and say, I have this business idea, I want $100,000 so that I can figure out how to get my family out of debt or get them to prosperity. They'll say, nah, we good. We're not gonna give it to you. You can go in there right now and say, I need $100,000 to go to school. And then they know the schooling system, when they give you those federal loans, how you're gonna be in debt to them for the next 30 years, and you probably won't make any money off of it. They'll give you that $100,000 for a student loan before they give you one for entrepreneurship to start your own small business.
Yeah,
and to me, that's an issue.
So do you think that's more of your skin color or who you know?
Oh, they actually proved it. There's a lawsuit that went out there and they had to pay back, where they literally proved the people with the same economic background, African Americans, and then you had Anglo Americans, same amount of assets, same amount of everything, and the only thing that was different was their skin color. The only thing that was different was their zip code. Yeah. And when you sit there and differentiate two people with the same exact criteria, then they had a discrimination charge. And what did they do? They paid a lawsuit out.
Yeah.
And
same thing with home loans. You go up in there and you have the same exact credit score as someone else, but the only difference is your skin tone. And they sat there and gave them a 8% when they, gave you an 8 to 18% rate, and they gave them a 2% rate. They literally said, I don't care, I'm gonna keep you in debt some kind of way to me.
Well, I hear your zip code does play a part in your credit score.
It does. That's why if you really, and everybody I tell about their credit score, it matters. I tell you about going in there go get a P.O. box in River Oaks.
Yeah. Before
you go buy a house. As shitty as that sounds, go get a P.O. box so you can write down that your zip code, and it does play a part. Mm-hmm. That's systematic racism, because they're saying if you can own property or if you're in this zip code, then we think you're better qualified than somebody who lives somewhere else, and that's not true. You might just want to be in your neighborhood. You might want to be close to your mom and your dad where they live, because back in the day they couldn't afford more. Now you're just trying to give back to your community, and that's actually being a detriment to you.
Yeah, that was to say, because the student loan thing that you was talking about, like the whole 30-year thing, like that was something back in the day, but now that's like a arbitrary number now, because now they're keeping you in debt for life.
Yeah.
Because when you're paying off your loan, you're basically paying like
nothing but interest.
But interest, and basically paying $5 to the loan at the every month, and basically you get another statement at the end of the month. They're like, oh yeah, your stuff has went up. You like, if I'm paying stuff down, you're not paying, they're just paying interest.
I got a statement the other day, and I'll tell you exactly how much it was. Because they were like, well, so far you paid about $16,000 on your loan. They're like, but on your principal, you paid $1,000. I got a $70,000 loan that I've been paying on for 5 years, and I paid $1,000 on it.
That's crazy.
And that's and I think of it from the standpoint of they were so willing to give you that money because they know that they can make you indebted to them. Versus if you could figure out a way to stop being in debt and make your own money, they would never give you $70,000. They would have never gave you $100,000 and told you, black man, go out there and make sure you prosper.
Because they don't make enough money off of that. They make more money off of giving you a loan that you're not going to pay back because you're just going to keep paying interest.
And then if you ever default on it, then they can take all your stuff.
But do you think it's African American people or just poor people?
Well, first of all, the federal loan system is across the board.
Yeah.
That's if you go and you do that. That's they fucking everybody, honestly. Yeah. But what it is when you become of a class like I shouldn't say it. I don't have no student loan debt. My parents, they made enough money to where I went to school. Our first 2 years I was on academic scholarship. The last 2 years my parents paid. I left school blessed. I didn't have no student loans, but that allowed me not to have to pay that. And I was saving up money every month. And at the age of 24, I bought my first house. So people who don't have student loans have a leg up on the world, and that's typically the people who are upper middle class.
The funny thing about that though is you don't realize it until it's too late.
Right.
Till you knee deep in student loans.
I was gonna say I messed myself over with that because I didn't have student loans when I came out of undergrad because I had a scholarship and I was on scholarship the whole time. I didn't get loans until I got to grad school. But then when I got to grad school, I was like, oh, I've never had loans before. I was like, first time I got like an overpayment check, I was like, oh wow, it's extra money. And so I just kept taking them. Yeah. And so I guess I was an adult, but I was still a young adult. So I was and I was thinking people used to do it in college all the time and spend that money. And so when I got older, when I was in grad school, I was like, well, now I get a chance to do it. But I didn't realize
the scam in that is they always tell you like, oh, well, you know what I'm saying, you can graduate, you're going to get a nice job, whatever.
Yeah,
your job be able to pay it back. But then you realize what you're making is not going to get you to pay that back anytime soon.
Oh, they forgot to tell you about the racism that's going to happen when you start applying for these great-ass jobs that you just tried to make sure you had an education for. And then you get there and they realize that your name is Tyrone something, and then they sit there and think that you're not qualified for the job, even though you just went to school, paid all this money, sat next to the same person, just like you.
I remember, and I won't put the company name out there, even though I want to. But I went for a job, whatever, oil company. I'm saying my degree and everything, I'm good, whatever. I go, because I've been taught, engineering program and stuff like that at Prairie View. Hey, if I'm going to be suited and booted, got my suit on like that in my interview. Panel interview, about 10 people up and down. We talking and stuff like that. Dude tells me at the end of the interview, he was like, well, say one thing, whatever. You're the most well-dressed candidate we had today. Period. And I'm like, they're like, that's cool because I go outside. White dude out there just in some khakis and just a regular t-shirt,
regular polo,
regular button down, whatever case may be. And I'm just like,
and you got a whole suit on.
Qualified. You know what I'm saying? But that would mean nothing because like I say, they have a certain thing. It's like no matter what you, like I said at that time, what I prepared for, whatever. It's like I'm thinking like I got this degree. This is the progression I'm supposed to have.
Right.
Until you get out there, you get in front of people, and you like they have their own personal criteria.
They do, and it's literally more of, can I see myself working with you, not your criteria. Like, I'm a hiring manager at my company, and not that I sit there and purposely try to hire a certain look I try to hire people who are diverse. I believe, honestly, that is what makes the rainbow beautiful, the different colors. Yeah. If it was all blue, the rainbow would not be a beautiful thing. So people have to get out of that mindset, and they would have realized that, you're well dressed, but you're qualified. Like my husband, he goes through that from time to time because he's a big black guy. He's almost 6'5", and he's big and he's stocky. And then the profession, he feels like it's a lot of women in that profession, and they look at him and they're intimidated by his stereotype or by some negative perception they have on African American men when they don't even give them a chance as much as anybody else. And I don't know.
I understand that too, because like I had a big problem when I was coming out of college. I had cornrows because that was what was in at the time. So then my mom was like, you got to cut your hair because you're going into the workforce, right? And so I did. Like I had a fade for like 3 or 4 years, and I was working as a teacher. And so like for the longest, I was like, man, I got to make sure I stay presentable because they're gonna look at me funny if I don't. And then I started to realize that they kind of look at me funny anyway because it don't matter what I have. So that's when I grew my hair back out. And so like the thing is, what's crazy about it now is like the position I'm in now is like a leadership position. And so like the people that I have to like advise and give counsel to are usually like, you know, middle-aged white men, middle-aged white women that are teachers. So I have to go in there and be like, okay, well, you're doing this wrong. And I can tell that the way that they feel when I walk in and like tell them, okay, like I'm a big black man. I usually have like, I have my shirt, my polos on most of the time. So you can see tattoos and everything. So they're like, I can't believe that he is coming in here and telling me how to do my job.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm qualified to.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing this for 12 years, so I know what I'm talking about. So it's you learn to live with that stereotype, but then at the same time you know that you got to prove yourself.
Yep.
You know
That's what I call the black tags. Like, I mean, we have been, okay, so I used to work at a part of a mentorship program with girls. And it was just like, I would tell them, honestly, there is a black tax. Don't try to deny it. Don't try to fight it. You gonna go in there, and if you want to know anything about me, I ain't gonna tell you my real name, but I have an MBA, I'm a CIA, I'm a certified internal auditor, I'm a certified fraud examiner, and I'm a project management professional. You know why? Because me as a black woman that was young, starting off in my career, I gotta go into this room and full of predominantly white people and prove to them what I know. Versus my counterparts come in there, and most of them are white men that are doing the same thing. They are given the benefit of the doubt that they already know. Yeah. So I had to come in there and prove, and it's just like it is what it is. I had to go back to school and prove to them, and I'm the most qualified person in my whole entire department.
So you gotta sell yourself.
You gotta sell yourself every day because you have to prove to them that stereotypes are not true. Yeah. But every time I go and I talk to somebody, I can tell you that I want to say about, if it's 10 people that I talk to, 9 of them I have shocked. But I brought them in that the stereotype that they thought about an African American woman was not true. I'm not snapping my neck. I'm not, you know, sister girl. I'm not that person. But I hate that I had to do that. But you do.
Here's the thing, though. Why do you though? Like, why do you have to like be reserved and not be yourself? Can you not still get the job done and be yourself?
I mean, I still listen to City Girls at my desk. I mean, coming in.
Because like you just said, to quote Kanye, if you still a nigga in the Benz, you're still a nigga in the coupe, even if you're driving the Benz. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
So I mean, I used to be like that at work. Like when I first started, you know, with a real job, I used to try and just please white people and get kind of nervous around them and stuff like that. You know, just every little thing. You laugh at their little corny ass jokes and stuff. But then I was like, man, forget this. It's too much energy doing this shit. Yeah. I'm better than all these people. I can outsell all of them. It's gonna be myself. Fuck them. And I've had the attitude every job since.
Yeah, that's what I.
And I don't think. Yeah, and I don't think that I like changed to be around them. I just tell them like who I am. Yeah. You will accept and you will like. I'm not, but I'm not that girl. I'm not like oh my god, you know, that's just not me. But when I talk to them intelligently. I do watch a lot of CNN and Fox News, so we talk about politics. I do watch a lot of diverse TV shows, so we have a lot of things in common, and that's what I'm trying to show them. That is, I don't watch Real Housewives, and I mean, no disrespect to people or love and hip hop. That's just not my thing. So it's not like I feel like I have a disconnect with them because that's all I watch, and I don't know what Nene did this week, like, no, that's not me. Yeah. So I don't mean no disrespect. It's just not my thing.
Because like I said, because black people in the workforce, they be thinking you did watch the same stuff. I had at one job, I was working as an operations engineer, and one of the secretaries was a black lady. It was kind of like it was us two, like in the office area, and then one other black dude. And she used to come to me all the time, talking about, "Have you watched the Half and Half Nots last night?" And I'm like, I never watched it, but she still explained all the characters and everything that's going on and stuff. But I had like at one job, whatever, I was my supervisor at that time, he was Hispanic, and my coworkers were African American, whatever, we're black. And my main manager was a white guy and stuff. And I'm like, you know, so we talking to each other at work, but we at work. So anybody gonna come out, you can be professional in case of B. And I remember one day, whatever, because he came in as a new manager and stuff like that. I guess he tried to be cool or the white guy. And he came in and he was like, "Hey, Alan, what's up, man? This that." I said, "Hey, what you doing?"
Step back.
Yeah, I was like, "What the hell you think this is gonna be?" I was like, "How you doing today?" Yeah. I'm like, we at work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He kind of looked kind of shocked, whatever. I'm like, this is 9 to 5. We at work.
Right, and I don't have work friends. I
can say this though. Being a black male, I guess in the workforce, is it me or does it seem like they only want to talk to you about sports? You bring up anything about money or anything like progression? Let's change the subject. I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Like, cause that's part of what I was going to go into next. Is that so you kind of brought up, you know, dealing with other black people in the workforce, and how like
Right.
sometimes, because I know with me in different positions that I've had, it's like okay, and somewhere I worked before, like this one black dude was with me, he worked there, he's like, man, these people tripping, huh? Like he want to go off on like all the white people in the office or whatever, and I'm like, nah, they doing their job. You know what I'm saying? Like they feel like you're supposed to automatically connect.
Yeah.
So the other side of this, besides like doing what the other cultures do, is that our own culture sometimes can be kind of detrimental to us.
Right.
At work.
Yeah.
That is 100% true.
Yeah.
And in my work, at my company, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I will. We created we need a safe space.
Yeah.
And so we created a group. It's called BAD, which means Black and Driven.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our group meeting.
Mm-hmm.
When things are going on, we discuss things, because what we realized was that we were all acting as individuals when we could have acted as a group. And there's like 2 of us that are in the manager level, and then the rest of them are pretty much staff. So we would like prep them whenever there was something going on, such as a change in our performance assessment plan. And we would go to the big, all the leads or department heads. We would go to this meeting, and we would like, hey, y'all get on y'all. This is what they about to do, because that's what a lot of other cultures were doing.
Right.
We felt like we had to be individuals, and I can only just make sure that Bianca was going to the top. I can only just make sure, such and such was going to the top. This person, that person, we all individuals. It's like, nah, we need to bring each other up.
Right.
And we would go, and nobody knows that we are friends. Nobody knows about our group unless they listen to your podcast.
I'm not using this for a clip.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it to hear that.
That's tough, though.
But it wasn't tough because it's not everybody. We have probably about 50 to 60 African American people in our organization that's at our building. It's 9 of us. We know who is just like us. We know who was trying to grind, who's trying to move up to the next level, that we feel like we can lift as we pull each other up. So I know as a manager, I'm coming back like, hey, I know you a staff, you about to be on your stuff, get on this. This is where they're moving.
Yeah.
Just be ahead of the game, because I believe in you. And other people like, hey, I heard this in a meeting. We have to share information because they sharing information.
And it's important that we keep in mind that like those people are usually like-minded people. Because like if you end up with somebody in your group that don't really think like that.
Oh no, because we have new people coming and they be like, what about this person? And we'll just kind of go scope the scene, talk to them. Yeah. And ain't nobody else made it in since we started. Like we literally are very protective because we talk about stuff and we need a safe space. And if I don't trust you, then I don't feel like I can open up and tell anybody anything. So I do believe that you need to scope like-minded people and lift as you grow. And at the same time, just know that everybody don't belong in your group.
Well, it shows the importance of a village.
Yeah.
Like we need, like I say, people think about their villages when it comes to like the family aspects like that, but it's also in the workplace too.
It is.
Like you need a village in certain aspects, whether like you say your safe space. That everybody is like-minded people, whatever the case may be, we all lifting each other up, because you don't know, like say, if I'm staff, you management, whatever the case may be, if something comes open, you tell me like, hey, so this is open, you need to go ahead and apply for that, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? We stay to lifting each other up.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like having people of other cultures in your safe space?
I don't think it's the same. I don't, and I mean, it's not that and my husband says this all the time, that he calls me borderline racist, and I tell him, I'm not borderline racist, I am pro-black. That doesn't mean...
I'll give you militant. I'll give you a little bit of militant.
I'm pro-black to where I just look out for our community because everybody else looks out for their community. And until we can start figuring out ways to achieve different things for ourselves, we're never gonna get far. We're the lowest people who do not spend money in our own community. So I had to actually just change one of my doctors. And it took me 3 days to find another qualified African-American woman as my OBGYN. And I took it upon myself not to pick the first person, but to go and seek someone that I was going to give my money back to my people of my community. It's not because I don't feel like Anglos or Asians or anybody else. It's just that I felt that sense of pride to sit there and go to a woman of my community and give her money. And but we have to have those people out there.
So how much is too black though? Like how much is too black?
I don't think that anything is ever too black. If you really go and take the approach of the Jewish community, that's all I'm gonna say. Take the approach of the Jewish community where their money stays 7 to 8 times within their community before it goes outside. And what do they have? They have one of the most prosperous communities ever. When they sit there and build for themselves and they all prosper, because you're gonna spend this money.
Or maybe I should have worded it this way. I guess we need to find a happy medium on how to handle this pro-black thing, because it's all new to a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give an example. I saw a clip on YouTube where a guy, I think it was in Chicago, and that I guess is a female, I guess it was his friend or something like that. She went in there and got her nails and toes done.
I saw
Yeah, by those Asian people or Vietnamese people, and I guess that she came back and said they treated her wrong or some sort. And so he went in there and tore up the place. Cause I said, I done told y'all about this before. Now I gotta pay. Went in there and tore up everything in this stuff.
I think that lacked long term like thought process.
Yeah.
That immediate reaction of tearing up the people place, that was okay. But what he should have done was to figure out that she no longer had to go, that we don't have to spend our money with those people. And if you stop spending your money, then they don't make profit. And they don't make profit, they don't make rent.
Yeah.
They don't stay there. Figure out who the African American nail shop is, and then you sit there and shift all your business there. You have to be more long term than go up in there and just tearing up.
How do we hone that in though? Like, how do you? Because it's like some people are too extreme with that shit.
Now that was a bit much.
That was like, because even you was black people in there just sitting there like, what's wrong with this fool? Like, why is he?
But I mean, there's been a lot of instances where African Americans have finally taken a stance to take their money, and they realize the power of their money.
Yeah.
I will say this, and this
Okay.
is I'm gonna.
I don't want to sound like the black militant.
No,
lady.
I'm gonna go kind of. I'm gonna provoke you.
I'm gonna agree with something that you're saying too.
No, I was gonna provoke you, but
Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm
I'll let you
honeybee.
agree first.
No, but I'm saying like I say, I kind of agree. Like I say, when the person goes kind of pro-black, whatever, you kind of like, oh, hold up, where we going with this? You know what I'm saying? How far we gonna go with it? But I do agree that sometimes it is very necessary to go pro-black with a lot of different things, because we are the most, as a people, whatever, they will come and destabilize us if we do grow something. Like, they really don't, they'll do something like to the Hispanic community, this and that, but for years upon years, whatever, anytime they see black people growing, or in case be, they do something to destabilize.
Okay, so you want to talk about Black Wall Street?
Yeah, so we talk about Black Wall Street, it's like that. But like I say, it brings me back to like, it was this movie, I gotta figure out what the name of that movie was, but it's an old movie. And pretty much it was like a group of white people was eating around dinner or whatever. They had like I guess a dinner party. And all the servers were black, this and that. And they having a conversation, and one, like the main dude, his name was like Tom, whatever case may be. And one of the guests was like, yeah, Tom, you always trying to help the Negroes out and blah, 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 and this and that. And they all like in suits dressed up. And Tom was like, well, I'm saying you have it all wrong. He was like, you have to kind of go, he said, you have to help the Negro out. And he was like, you have to find the main Negro that's the leader. He said, you go into the community, you find out who their leader is. He said, you bring that person into your society. You bring them up, you build them up, you clean them up. Make them feel like they're a part of your unit. And then you, for that reason, by making them feel like they're part of your unit, they feel comfortable with you. But they can never go back to their place, because now their people think they're dirtied up by that they're too white. You know what I'm saying? They're too white acting, whatever the case may be. And he said, that's how you destabilize them from the inside. And that happens, like I say, it triggers something, because it's like, you see that a lot.
You do.
You see the people like, oh, that nigga out there making money now with the white folk and shit. He too good to come and hang with the boy. He too good, this and that. And it's like, that makes that person that was their voice or whatever, he just really go help his people, because he like, my people don't fuck with me anyway. Right. So I'm gonna do what I want to do.
But is it our approach though? Like, we had to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. But I got something I'm thinking of. So now, is it our approach though? Because we had an episode about like we were talking about a culture change, like the music we listen to, the stuff that's on TV, the stuff we enjoy. A lot of the music that slap, it is talking about killing and robbing and shit like that. Like, why is that acceptable? Why is that shit on the radio? You know what I'm saying? Well, we still get the same pro-black message in commercials, and or they may go out and do something in the community, but you're still pumping that negative shit.
First of all, let me just make this very clear, and I think the African American, or this type of music you're talking about, hip hop, rap, is played across all cultures. Right. There's white people listening to hip hop. There's African Americans. There's Latinos. There's Asians. They're all not doing the same thing. How many times have you seen It's all about your environment. When you start saying that, but you live in Beverly Hills, what's your affordable, like, how can you go and do these things? How can you go and be on the block and shoot rock? And you don't have that environment. We have the environment. The Hispanic Americans sometimes have the environment where they can go out there and perpetrate those things because they see it. it's not like when people say music makes you do stuff, it's like, well, music doesn't necessarily always make you do stuff. It might put in your head, but the environment has to also be there.
I was gonna say the only problem I have with that is that a lot of these, like even new black artists, aren't even living that life themselves. So like, but I feel like like that's what I'm saying. Like, so they putting the image out there.
It's what we live in a capitalist society.
Yeah,
making money.
But this is my point though. It's not the music. It's what we accept. Why is that acceptable in our culture?
Because it's what makes
it's
money.
What makes the most money.
It makes money.
But why does it make money? Because we accept it. We're like, all right, cool. I'm gonna listen to that shit anyway.
I would say this: the reason it makes so much money is white people. Because white people make most of the sales for all of that music. So white people love listening to all the hood shit that black people are doing because they're like, oh damn, look at how these black people living. Oh my god, it's crazy, selling rock, blah blah blah. And so they're buying everything, and that's where the money is coming from.
It ain't coming from our gas.
I'm gonna use this as an example. Popeye's chicken sandwich.
We
may not went out and bought the sandwich, but we damn sure promoted the hell out of that damn sandwich, didn't we? It's the same thing with the music. We hype it up.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like I said, we push the culture. Like I'm saying, like everybody kind of revolves around us, and then they'll mass, go buy stuff, whatever. Because like you say, we're not pushing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But everybody else looks at. We have the biggest presence on social media.
Yeah.
So like I said, we'll push it like that. But that goes to one other thing too that I didn't like. I don't know if it pertains to this kind of thing, but it kind of does. But like you're saying, like certain things that we put out for little coded stuff. Like I seen 2 fucking McDonald's commercials today, whatever, and like I say, it reminds me of back in the day the Calvin commercial, the McDonald's, whatever. Calvin got a job. It's like
like fries.
But these smell like French fries. But you got, like I say, but it was like 2 other commercials, and like it was a black dude that was getting a scholarship from McDonald's, and it was Maria. She got a scholarship. She worked at McDonald's, got a scholarship. I never seen no white people get like a McDonald's scholarship. Like, so you basically telling us basically the minorities, whatever. If you want to weigh out, go to McDonald's.
Well, it's more or less because we are the #1 consumers of McDonald's. Like, I mean, I don't know last time I ate McDonald's. I believe they killing people 1 chicken McNugget at a time.
All this shit is fake. All the food fake. Even the shit in the grocery store is fake. You can't get away from it. So
I'm just saying, but I think that they are targeting our communities because we are the consumers.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest problem we have is that, like we said earlier, is that we have control of the market, but we're not keeping control of anything.
Yeah,
like we're selling our shit off. But I mean, I understand why, because a lot of people that are selling off the culture are just trying to make as much money as they can as quick as possible. Whereas if we actually invested in ourselves and actually built up our own things to outside of them, outside of the the mainstream,
I think we're finally starting to understand how to give back. Now, one thing that I would say is with LeBron James and him creating that school out there in Ohio, he really understood that education was going to be a pivotal point that's going to get a lot of African American men out of poverty. So therefore, he went back and gave. I think that as Jay-Z has went out there and with his Carter Foundation has went to a great magnitude of creating programs and resources for people to get out of poverty. We are starting down that path where some of our celebrities and people with the financial resources are starting to give back. But I want to see what can happen here locally in Houston. I believe that we really, being the 4th largest city, have not started to give back locally. We understand that HISD is in a shithole for our education system. We don't have proper resources to our students to go to school. And I mean, there are so many opportunities I feel like we're missing locally.
I think a lot of times we do a poor job of communicating shit to other people. Yeah. Like I say, I think from just dealing with different organizations of my lifetime and different things like that, the more stuff you can have answered before you bring it to a group of black folk. Like if I answer all your questions before you even ask me your questions, the more you are willing to do whatever I want you to do. And I feel like a lot of people come into situations to be like, man, I want to do this. And then now you have 50 million questions coming at you that you really didn't ever answer before you roll something out.
Proper planning.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But we don't do that as a whole a lot of times.
And I think there's a lot of ego in the black community.
Yeah.
And to me, when like working on not even necessarily the first, but it got to be yours.
Yeah.
And I feel like once we realize how much we can pull together, Johnson & Johnson is really a great multitude of people. It's not just one person that did Johnson & Johnson to make this a multi-billion dollar company. That a lot of us are smart, but we want to have it on ourselves. And if we figured out how we could partner together and allocate these resources or these expenses, where if we own this place right here and you needed it, you can have that space, I can have that space, we can have one receptionist that we're paying and we're splitting costs. But sometimes we want to sit there and just say, this is mine, and we overpay. We sit here and do all of this stuff, but if we could pull together, we really could have a great multitude of stuff. And it's that ego of this is mine. It's like you can make more money saying this is ours than you can ever do this is mine.
You know what's crazy about this conversation though?
What?
I think we all know this stuff. We know what to do, but it's just like college and them student loans. You don't know until it's too fucking late. The issue is we gotta let the younger generation know. We gotta teach this to our kids. You know what I'm saying? And let them know. And this same knowledge, hey, you need to work hard and get you a scholarship to pay for school. Don't depend on these goddamn student loans. Or really, if you're gonna go to school, go for something that's gonna make you some money.
And school is not necessarily the option for everybody.
You don't have to.
You
Just
don't have
go
to
for the
to school.
education, not the degree. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Go for what you can get from it.
Well,
Or you can go to trade schools. You can. There's a
that's
lot
what
of
I was
other professions and blue collar jobs will make you way more money. Go to HVAC. You can go plumbing. You can go welding. You can sit here and do all of these other things where you can work with your hands and make more money. Look at what you want to do. Look at how much it's gonna pay and how quick you can get out. Ain't no reason to go 4 or 5 years on a job that you finally went on Monster.com or Indeed and realized there wasn't even no job for that shit.
Yeah.
Right. I had a homegirl that I was in grad school with, and she loved, like, she was really good at doing hair, because she used to like twist my hair and everything. But like, she used to do hair, she used to do makeup, all that kind of stuff. And so like, she was in grad school, and so she was like, I was like, what would you want to do? Because like, we were talking about career counseling, because I was in grad school for counseling anyway. So we were talking about career counseling. I was like, well, if you woke up and you didn't have to worry about money, what would you want to wake up and do every day? She's like, oh, I would want to do makeup and hair and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, so why don't you just go to cosmetology school? Why are you in grad school for something that you like doing, but it's not really what you want to do? So, well, I'm already here. So, and I'm like, just leave. just leave. And I tell kids all the time, I was like, that's the first question I ask every one of them. What would you do if you woke up and you didn't have to worry about money? You didn't have to worry about where your money was coming from. What would you want to wake up and do every day? Kids would be like, I want to play video games. Well, go out there and play some video games. Like, learn something about video games that you can make money out of.
Yeah, white kids, I mean, I'm not trying to bash white people either, but white kids did it. They found a way to make a market where they have e-games, even on ESPN,
Yes.
and that people making millions of dollars playing fucking video games now.
I saw a post about they were looking for an esports coach,
Yeah.
and they were gonna pay him. It was like well over 6 figures to go coach an esports team on like NBA 2K.
Yeah.
All you do is coach the team, and you make it over 6 figures.
I mean, it's crazy. Once you get a group of people that are like-minded, thinking alike, you can create any opportunity
We have always been
and
doing
generate
that.
money from it.
We've always been doing that. If you think about, if you take us back to the 1950s, 1960s, when the African American population was at its height, when we actually had money in the Freeman Bank, when we actually were doing great before civil rights, where they figured out how to do Jim Crow and really, truly systematically shut us out on a lot of things with banking and housing and redlining us and gerrymandering our votes and all this other kind of stuff. We figured out that we weren't wanted in their neighborhoods, and we made our neighborhoods great. And I'm not asking for segregation again, by no means, but I think that there was a power in us not wanting to be a part of their community and appreciating our own because we had it. And I was like, I don't know how we can tell each other that truly our ice is as cold as they ice. Our stores are as good as their stores. Our clothes are as good as their clothes, if not better. We have more style. We have all of this stuff. But I think that we've been set up an image to believe that their shit is better than ours. And a lot of it, to me, is celebrity. We want to be on Instagram just like everybody else, putting on the Gucci or whatever, when we have stuff that's in our neighborhood that is just a better quality. But we keep giving our money to them, that's making them rich, that's making us, I mean, not as rich, or poor. It's not making us poor in some instances, but some people are spending their lives on bullshit.
Oh yeah.
We want to look like city girls, and why can you take a loan out for weave? Then you don't, girl. Why you financing your bundles?
The Asian people found a market though. That's
They
like, all right,
did.
they want to buy this weed. We'll jack the price up and let you finance it and make even more
But
money.
to me, that's immaturity.
Yeah.
That literally is immaturity. When I got out of school, I lived with my cousin for 2.5 years, so that I could sit there and save every penny I own so I can own my own home. So by the time I graduated at 22, by 24 I owned my own home because I had fortitude to sit there and know that that's what I wanted. It wasn't fun. I couldn't date. Like I was at my cousin's house, and I was like, you have to sometimes make sacrifices. And I think that African Americans, we don't always understand the importance of making short-term sacrifices for long-term prosperity. That you're gonna have to maybe not get that weed. Grow out your hair, boo. I mean, just grow it out and you be fine. You ain't gotta put the nails on. You ain't gotta put the bamboo lashes on. Keep that money, put it into yourself. Maybe you can go back to school. Maybe you can finally pay your car off. Maybe you can finally do something that betters yourself. But we so caught up on trying to impress people who don't give a fuck anyway.
Well, that brings us back to the original point, though. I mean, do we need a culture change?
I think we do need a culture change. I think we need a culture change from society and believing that what we see on Instagram is what we gotta achieve and spend all our money on that bullshit.
We have to understand that we have to believe that we have a certain power and superiority about ourselves that everybody else believes that we have. Well, we don't believe it.
Everybody else knows we have.
Yeah, everybody knows we have.
That's why they hate us.
Because we go down to like Hispanics in America right now, whatever, and that's not a great nothing that Hispanics have done over time. But they're a problem now because of numbers.
Yeah.
And that's why they're seen as a threat. But for the past 50, 60, 100 years, whatever, black people have been looked at as a power that we don't know we have, but everybody else know we do. That's why they try to systematically destroy us at every corner with the drug game, housing, red line, whatever. It's like we see that they are, mentally they are talented. Athletically they are talented. Okay, all this other stuff. We see that they are superior in so many different ways. So we have to constantly beat them down because before they realize it, we have to keep them at a certain place.
I totally agree with that.
I'll say it's the analogy that I always use about the elephant and the chain. Like it was a baby elephant chained to a tree, and as the elephant grew, they never changed the chain. Chain was still that little weak chain that was on it when it was a baby.
Yeah.
But the elephant, as it got older, it still stayed exactly where it was because it had that same little weak chain on it for all that time. Like everybody else knew if this elephant ever figures it out, all he has to do is walk away. Like he could break that chain with ease. Yeah. But if you get him as a baby and you train him that you cannot get away from this, then that's what you do, and that's what they've done to black people. They kind of just made it so that we are more powerful than we've ever been. But we still have that little chain on us, and we still let it be like, oh, well, we can't do this because you know how they are.
I was just gonna say, it's kind of like you walk into a room with a white person and you got your head down or whatever. You don't be like, hey, how you doing? I'm Gary.
Hey, sir.
Yeah. Like, okay, man, go in that shit with some confidence and be yourself.
What's the boss?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yeah, man, fuck that.
So it's scary, man. It's scary because, like, I really think that, like you said, I think we're coming to a point that we're actually starting to realize we have power, but I just wish it would come a little bit faster. Because, like, I wish that people realized it on more of a broad scale than they are.
Yeah, like, we come with our power on stuff that I felt like isn't always to our benefit. And I mean no disrespect by this, but when they put out the coolest monkey in the tree, I think we all boycotted H&M. Then they put the the noose around the doll that was on Gucci. So then we boycotted Gucci. And it's like we have to the blackface. That's what it was. So then it's like we had to see total extremes like this before we sit here and boycott people, or we realize our money has power. Like people are continuously offending us in so many different ways that it has to be blatant upfront and for T.I. to call it out.
It's crazy though, but with a culture change, that shit wouldn't have to be spoken. Niggas would just know we ain't fucking with Gucci no more. And that's it.
My thing is, even with that, when that stuff happened, like all of these black businesses started getting shown. Like they were like, oh, well, y'all don't have to go there, try this place, try this. Why have y'all not been promoting that business all of this time until Gucci did something wrong? Now all of a sudden you want to point out all these black designers. Why are these black designers not put in the forefront before something bad happened?
Now, one thing I'm gonna say too though, with us, I'm not gonna lie, and I've experienced this with way more black businesses than white businesses.
I was gonna say it, but I was gonna leave it alone.
We got to do better, man. Be more reliable.
Well, all I'm gonna say is this: we have seen that with African American businesses, with every culture, there are always going to be the good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah.
But what happens is we go into African American business, and the first time they fucking, oh, I knew they was going to do that. And when we sometimes continuously still go to that nasty ass Chinese restaurant where they give us fucking attitude every time, but we like they wings and rice, and we keep going back even though they give us bullshit ass service all the time. Exactly. To give us bullshit ass service and the runs. Like,
I can't say
fuck
that.
up.
I can say that. I can say I've been to French's Chicken on several occasions and got a side of attitude, and I still take my black ass back there every
Exactly.
time.
So we still, I mean, we done been to, you know, big restaurants and they made us wait too long and all that. But
yeah, but it just seems like though, and I don't know if there's more white businesses out there than black businesses. That's
there
probably
is.
it.
There definitely
But
is.
it's like a good percentage of black businesses though, man. It's always some bullshit when you go there. Like, oh man, let me just give me a second, bro. I got you. You know what I'm saying?
But then there's also the flip side of that too. Like I say, just like how the black business sometimes be fucking up with your stuff, whatever case may be, a lot of us go to black businesses and be like, ah shit, you know what I'm saying? What's up with the discount? What's up with the hookup?
Yeah.
That's just. I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
detrimental to us, period. But I think one of the things that we do is that, like you said, if it's somebody we know or somebody black, we be like, oh, okay, they finna hook me up because you know we on the same page. But then on the flip side of that, you got the business like, oh, I mean, you understand, bro. Like, yeah it is what it is.
I think we should
But
expect discounts.
I don't think we should at all. But I think the way we treat like white businesses, like even if a black business had a white consumer, I think they treat them different. Just like white, like black consumers treat white businesses different.
Yeah.
Like you go to a white business and you expect good service and all that kind of stuff. But if they mess up, you like, it's okay. Like some people are like that. Just like when you go into a black business, if a white person goes into a black business, they are going to go above and beyond because they know this is a white consumer and this could really mean something for me. But if it's a black consumer, it's like, well, it's just another nigga like me, so we good.
Man, I don't know, man, because I just may be different, man. Because I think I go in, and this may be racist, but I go in with kind of maybe even a lower expectation based off my previous experience with black businesses. And even with the lower expectation, I still give them a benefit of the doubt, and I still get fucked every time.
See, I don't know where you're going
like,
because
God dang.
I don't know where you go.
A prime example, I told you about my incident at Circulating Hood. That's
So yeah, it's different though.
I like the vibe, and I waited, but it's just like, damn, man, you ain't gotta be so arrogant about the shit. And you messed up, just own up to it. But at least be like, I'm sorry.
So with the turkey leg hut, I mean, I like them. I like them.
I like the turkey leg too, but I went with my
and I
expectations.
think they're good people. I think that what they're trying to do is good for the community. Because I know they got the daiquiri hut that's coming out, and they have a couple of different things. They actually have like a block party they're trying to bring people. So they're trying to do stuff. Now, don't blame them on the service, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say understand that they have a new vibe. Like they're trying. They really are trying to be African American entrepreneurs. And I'm happy that people are trying to go in and support them. Like every time I go to the Circulating Hood, the line is crazy. Unless you go super early, like when they open at 11.
Yeah.
But
the vibes are good. Like I went the first time I went, it was awesome. Second time I went,
I never had a problem, but
third time I went, man, it just pissed me off. I ain't been back since. But I mean, I'll go back. But it's just the way you handle shit sometimes, you know?
I feel like the Circulating Hood to me is more like they're on they do a real good job business wise, but at the same time they have a black club mentality. Like if you ever go to like black clubs, they're a little bit different. They're looking to make their money. Like everybody free before 11, but they don't let nobody in the club until 10:55. So everybody that's in line is still gonna pay the 20. So like they want to run a good business, but at the same time they want to make as much money as possible. And so it's like it's hard to have that balance.
I still think that they're trying to figure out their way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
trying to find
if
balance.
you know their story behind doing their turkey legs behind the NRG, like they started from doing shit in their trunk all the way to where they are. We have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're trying. They actually are helping the community with, getting jobs and stuff like that. So, but I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah. You come in there with a certain quality or a certain expectation of the value of service and food that you're supposed to get.
And I'm willing to wait, but I mean, it's just don't make me wait 2 hours in line, then 2 hours for my fucking food, and have an attitude when I say something about it.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
No, like, I'm way past.
They say, you know what the hell you can't.
Hell no. Yeah.
So I hope that there are more African American entrepreneurs here in Houston that create something that people come to. So there's more turkey leg hut-ish type of restaurants and vibes, because I think the African American community is so creative. I'm with you. That's the reason why they keep kicking us down, because once we realize our true power, they fucked.
I don't think we have to worry about them kicking us down. We just got to get together, man. Stick together and just, like I said, change our culture. Just really support one another and stop all this. I can do that better. Or, my stuff would taste better if I did it myself over here. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I always look at like this when black people get together, and people start seeing black people making moves. What was it? Why am I blanking on the movie title? Movie with DMX and Nas.
Belly.
Yeah. Belly when the nigga was like on the corner or whatever. I don't like that shit.
I don't like that shit.
I think I see white people just eating bananas, just looking at us like, I don't like that shit. They just gathered up together. They plotting something. We gotta break that shit
And
up.
the shitty part about it is most of the time it's other African Americans. It's truly other black people.
It's because they hurt inside. They're like, damn, I could have done that. I see somebody just like me. I could have done that same shit.
And the whole thing is, who's sitting there doing? Somebody who ain't doing shit. Sitting on the corner eating bananas. If everybody out there grinding and trying to shine, they don't even see what you're doing. They doing their own thing.
Right.
But it's the motherfuckers that's sitting there ain't doing nothing, that's watching like, I don't like that shit. When they go do your own shit.
Yeah.
You're just as talented as me. Go out there and do it.
Yeah.
But that's the state of the culture. I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah, that was long stated.
You know what? Like, to be honest with you, I was gonna. That's gonna shift right into like the next segment, which is Woosah. Because in the Woosah segment, all I want to do is like bring it all together. So, in y'all's opinion, what is the next step for us in this culture? What is the next thing we have to do to make it, I guess, to get to a better state in this culture?
I think we need to have more of an open mind, I guess, to different things in the world. Like this whole like Candace Owens thing and Kanye, like the Republican thing. I think
I don't
honestly, we've been duped by these damn Democrats and they ain't done shit. They haven't. I'm not saying I'm a Republican. I do like some of their views though. I can't lie.
I can't
like
lie.
even just looking into this, I'm like, you know what? I don't know. So I think we just need to have more of a mindset, and we need to really just preach that amongst each other. You know, and then I remember like growing up where I didn't learn Black history at school. I learned that shit at church. And at home with my family and stuff like that. They would tell you the stuff and give you something to be proud of. You know, I don't feel like this generation of parents or grandparents is really doing that. You know, I think we do, but it's not really like our culture to do that like it used to be back in the day.
That's exactly right. You know, I think that a lot of our movement in our culture happened when people stopped going to church. I think that became one of the most pivotal points or pivotal places in our culture as African Americans. We knew every Sunday there was going to be, everybody went to church. Every Saturday, every Wednesday, we had a gathering place where we could discuss all this. That was one of the places where the civil rights movement and people met, the Black Panthers met, everybody met at church. Now you see where we are, ain't none of us going to church. And I get why. I get why we're not going to church. The materialisticness of the church, when we started seeing the corruption in the church, when we stopped feeling like God was there and more of like they were really trying to, I don't want to be negative because not every church is like that, but we started seeing fads and trends of churches not doing their people right. When the pastor driving up in a Rolls Royce and everybody else taking a bus, when we became where we didn't give back as a community and the church became where you put in and everybody got out and we all were trying to prosper and live together, it just became a money pit. Like, where my money going to?
I'm gonna say this: I don't think the issue is the church. I think we haven't evolved. I think we haven't found a new way to replace the church. That makes sense.
I think
because honestly,
like
the older I get, religion is just controlling people, man. like when you go to church, you just
and I didn't mean literally the church. I meant a meeting place of like-minded people. And that's where we were going to have our civil rights movement meetings. That's where we were having the Black Panther meetings. That's when you had people who were there for the movement. Nowadays, we so busy with our individual lives. I'm trying to get on Instagram and Snapchat. I'm trying to do this. It is. We are so distracted as people. But then we also are caught up in this cycle of not making enough money. So then you have people who are out there doing 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet because they're trying to live a lifestyle that may be a little bit much for them or maybe be their lifestyle. So people don't even have that luxury to go and think about how I'm gonna move forward because they trying to figure out how they gonna pay the bills for next month. And so you have a lot of people in the African American community who like, hey man, I don't have time to vote. I got to get on this bus so I can make it across town. It's a 2-hour journey for me to do there just to get 30 minutes late.
Yeah. But you know what, a good thing that's could have replaced like going to church and those meetings and stuff?
What?
Gangs. But you know what happened? We turned that shit into some bullshit.
I'll give you that.
Started killing each other.
I mean, when you
and
thought of
gangs
were supposed to be community led groups that protect ourselves against outside. Gangs really started when white people came into our communities to sit there, and we had people who ganged off our community to protect us. That became into more of the drug war. When that happened in the 80s, it became more violent than it became constructive to give back to our community.
So do you think we put too much value in the money and not like?
I think that we should
resources, I guess.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I feel like we put too much value into money because money, power, respect. I really believe money, power, respect truly is what we need in the world. If you don't have money, power, and respect, you ain't shit.
But it's also what's tearing us apart and what's got us.
I mean, that's anybody. That's any culture. That's literally.
That's America.
That is America is one of the only countries that is based on capitalism, not religion.
Yeah.
So that's why we come over here to try to figure out how to fuck you so I can get more money.
Right.
At any time, the only thing that matters is money. If you sit here and keep going, why? We call it the 5 whys in my profession. You do 5 whys, you gonna end up every time because I want to fuck you to get more money.
Exactly.
Why am I doing this? Oh, why? Damn, for real? Yeah, he's fucking you to get more money. When you think about the healthcare, why are prescriptions so high? Oh, because it's this. It don't cost that much. You can go right across Canada and get the same thing for 50 cents. They fucking you for penicillin so you can possibly die and gotta pay $300 for it. Yeah. Just so they can figure out how to make money on you. When your AIDS medication used to be $50, now they say they're trying to charge you $1,000 just so you can live. When in most religions, you're supposed to be helping your brother, your community to prosper and live. Yeah. In other cultures, they don't do that shit. We do it in America to make more money off of you.
And damn it, why is the new iPhone $1,200? That's some bullshit.
I don't deal with shit. because y'all keep paying for that dumb ass shit.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like
y'all keep paying for it. They trying to make more money.
Money is there.
Yeah, money is there, and like you say, going back to like the political part of it, like majority of black folk are really conservative.
We are.
And when you break it down, like our values and stuff like that, but it's hard for us to vote Republican when these same people see that, hey, we kind of agree with y'all, we rock with y'all, but I don't give a fuck about us. Like y'all, we are beneath y'all. And it's like that. Even though we can basically put y'all over the top every time because we have the same kind of type of little values we think alike, but y'all have such a disdain for us just because of the color of our skin or whatever case may be. It's kind of like, what the fuck?
Well, they have more disdain because they want to cut taxes and they also want to sit there and take away the social program. So the social program is being weak. They want to get away from, and the fucked up part about all of this is welfare. More white people are on welfare than black people. When they sat there and had that big crack, I think it was like in Seattle or something, and they had like 20 influential white people living in mansions getting welfare checks. Yeah. They figured out how to fuck the system, but meanwhile they keep calling us welfare moms and we got all this, and it's like, nah, that ain't even us as much as you think it is versus these trailer park trash ass people, get more wicked.
So do you think if we had more black Republicans that we can go in there, infiltrate it and change some of the
I don't think that we should actually vote on a party. I think you should vote on platform issues. And I think that once you start really truly identifying the platform issues, you will somewhat probably be more Republican than you are Democrat. Yeah. And we used to be back in the 1940s, 50s is when we were heavily Republican. Yeah. And then we switched over when it became the party. And stuff. When it became the party of ending civil rights. Yeah. And they became pushing civil rights for the African Americans. And I still don't like fucking civil rights. I'm gonna say my piece. We literally asked for civil rights. We never ever asked for equal rights. The LGBTQ, I hope I didn't miss a letter. Community.
You short a couple.
Okay. They asked for equal rights. We asked for civil rights, which means we asked for white people to stop spitting on us, to stop kicking us, to stop beating us, just be as nice, just be civil to us. Yeah. That's all we asked for, and they still have not done this to this day. And every time you see something, there was this white lady, I forgot her name, Jane Elliott. Mm-hmm. When she did her speech and she sat there and asked every white person, would you want to be black? Yeah. And they said no. She said, now you have admitted that there is a problem in this world. Right. If you don't feel like you want to be us, then you know that we are less than or we're not equivalent. Yeah. That's a problem. So you know it.
So I think one of the big things that's gonna change the culture, because I think that we've established that we have a lot of things to work on. I think education is a big one. I know you brought up that we educated ourselves in our homes and in the churches before, but I think what we have to really get back to is finding ways to gather people together. When we have different, I know like right now the biggest thing we can do is maybe have like events, because like I said, people don't really trust the church like that all the time, and we don't really have anywhere else to meet up. But we have to figure out a way to get everybody educated on policies, on politics, on everything.
Well, we seeing stuff like that. We seeing cracks in the armor, like on the grander scale. Like I say, you see like the stuff LeBron doing, the NBA and stuff like that. How the players have more power to kind of control their own face, whatever, and get more money. That like you having the whole issue with the NCAA right now.
Yeah.
Like when California passing that bill about paying their athletes and stuff. And you having like these other states gonna have to conform with California, because they're like, well, y'all paying, we can't let y'all get the best athletes, so we got to pay our athletes over here too. And that's basically that's
gonna change everything.
Yeah, that's going to the corruption in the NCAA, whatever. That all has to go away. So on the top level, it's breaking down on certain things. It just needs to trickle down to the middle and the lower class people.
So Jamel Hill, when she had her, was that 2 weeks ago, a week ago, when she came out and said that she wished that HBCUs and having Black people believe that our colleges are just as good as the white universities, and start going there, and then that would bring viewerships to the HBCUs. That would bring money, because that's what's making those schools thrive is their athletic program, predominantly the
Black athletes,
the Black athletes that are going there making Duke what it is. You think somebody will going to Duke just because the Duke is Duke? No. Or North Carolina? Nah. So what do y'all think about that?
I think that's a big thing, because
that's how it used to be. Yeah, like I say, most of the Hall of Fame, especially in the NFL, that came out of the Jerry Rices, the Walter Paytons, stuff like that, all came from HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? That's where they were found. So that shows that, hey, I don't have to go to Alabama, whatever, to be seen. If I'm the top athlete, whatever, I can be seen.
I think like one of the worst things, and I don't want to say it's the worst thing, but one of the things that like really messed us up was like the Jackie Robinson effect, where you finally got this Black person into a white space, and because the white people realize, oh, he's better than all of us. So let's start bringing more of them over. So it started happening in colleges, and we're gonna go ahead and integrate y'all now, because we need y'all's athletes.
We don't want to lose.
We don't want
to lose.
Yeah.
So,
and y'all making us money.
Y'all make us a whole lot of money. So like I think once people realize that the only reason you are going to those big schools is because you make them money. It's so hard. And I had this, I actually had this conversation with a young lady that went to Fisk. So because she was like, you should just, because I was a coach at the time. She said, well, why don't y'all just make y'all's athletes go to like HBCUs? I was like, okay. She's like, do y'all even take them on visits? Yes, we'll take them on a visit to PV, TSU. We'll take them to all these nice Black schools, but then let an A&M coach show up in a helicopter, pick him up and say, I'm gonna take you up here to College Station, because he's the number one recruit in the country. And so like I can't get the number one recruit in the country to go to PV when the A&M coach is showing him money.
The amenities.
Yeah, like
you go to some of them schools too, because I had a scholarship to Southern, and I went there. I was like, oh my gosh, this is raggedy.
Yeah.
And it was, but it's like you have to think about the long-term effects. It may not be good for you, but think about the next generation and generation after. But a lot of us don't have that long term. We trying to get what we getting right now.
Look at what Steph Curry. I mean, this ain't a Black school, but look what Steph Curry did to Davidson. That school was kind of run down, and then he came in and
fixed it up. But he had the long term effect versus the short term of what is going to
But like I said, but you don't get, like I say, some kids, whatever, like you saying, if you get seen the A&M come in, whatever, you're like, I'm not even gonna look at PV. They look at me like this. But like I say, us going to Prairie View and going having friends at A&M. I was gonna go to A&M for baseball before I went to PV, and I'm like, their dorms and stuff was like run down. People had like shower curtain in between, whatever. Whereas PV had like a whole apartment. Yeah. For freshmen. I'm like, this is way better than A&M. What the fuck? Yeah. Like, I'm saying they just have a big ass campus.
I tell people, I went to a medical program at Duke back when I thought I was gonna be a doctor. So I went to like a medical summer program at Duke, and it was right after my freshman year at PV. So, and I get there, and like we're standing in these dorms, and like I gotta like walk down a long hallway to go take a shower. Yeah. And I'm like, this is crazy, because at PV I have my own bathroom. Yeah. Like, and this school's supposed to be so much better. This is Duke.
Yeah. It's probably just a stereotype more than it is the actual amenities.
Just the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always say that it's really just about the name and what you think about the school, but it's hard. And the conversation I had before, I was telling the young lady that like it's hard to convince a 17-year-old that PV is a better school to go to than A&M or Tech or anywhere else that has money. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to convince them as a kid, like when all they see is the schools that are on the big screen.
I turn on the TV and I see this school all the time.
Yeah, but you want me to go to this
like,
school?
but I hear my PV when you talk to me about it.
And then your parents ain't gonna go for that because if they come and they're one of those big schools and they drop mom and dad a stack or tell them about
drop the bag.
and drop that bag and they like,
house.
right? Yep. And they start giving some little perks and your mama like going over
Get
there
your mama
now.
a job.
Yeah,
Get
your
dad
mama's
a
a single mom or low income and they start giving them a little money. That'll help sway them.
Boosters come feed you and stuff, bring
Right.
you money.
Yeah. Now you at the steakhouse eating something you never ate before, can't pronounce it. Give me the fillet. Give me the fillet.
Let the steak be Johnson.
Give me the fillet mignon.
Give me that steak minion.
The minion.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think that one of the biggest things, like if we can shift people's mindset, but you have to shift the mindset so early on because by high school they're already focused on
Well, I think it's also about community and family. Because when's the last time you had to talk this deep with anybody about the culture and about betterment? And are we having those talks where we sit up and checking each other? We have them all the time. We try to figure out what we can do. Like we're trying to do maybe a podcast day where we go and garden and show each other how to actually grow plants and vegetables and or grow fruit and figure out how we can sustain our own lives and eat better because you ain't shit if you don't know nothing about nourishment, if you don't know how to feed yourself, if all that kind of stuff. So like when is the last time y'all actually had a in-depth conversation and checked your friends, your family? Are you registered to vote?
What's interesting to me is when I grew up, my mom, we always had conversations like this. So we talked about systematic oppression. We talked about all that stuff from like at least elementary, middle school on. Like me and my sister, like she would wake us up every morning. We had to sit at the breakfast table before we go to school, and we would discuss racism and everything, like how's school been going, how did these teachers treat you. We would, like me and my sister would talk about how, because we were always in like GT level classes in white school, so it was all white people in our classes and it was just us, and so like we talked about how that felt and how we dealt with those kinds of things, and so we had those conversations all the time. So what was really a shock to me was when I got outside of my home and I realized that not that many people are really doing that. They don't have those conversations. And so I always said, like, as I get older, I would rather just have those conversations because I think they help me, so they would help anybody.
Right. When's the last time you had a real conversation with your family and friends about just life and culture and the betterment of yourself with your immediate community?
All the time. Because like I say, with the situation that we got, like me growing up in high school, like I said, I went to private school when I was younger. And then going from private school, went to public high school, and like I was in the magnet program in engineering, whatever. And one of our professors, whatever, that we kind of did for all 4 years, he's always pushing us. We learned like the basics in the class, but he always pushes like, hey, this is about society. This is gonna go on. This is what you need to learn about this. Having us, we in the office together, we planning college visits and stuff like that. So we always had those conversations. And that group, whatever, moved to college, whatever. The majority of us went to Prairie View. We still had a conversation. Hell, me and him, you know what I'm saying, frat brothers, whatever the case may be. If you find yourself, when you start having those conversations at a younger age, you talk about the nonsense and all the BS, whatever. I had friends that talked about really nonsense. Like, what's up with these hoes, blah, 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 all the damn time.
You gotta know
But,
what's up with the
yeah,
hoes.
that's part of it. You know what I'm saying? That's part of your evolution. But you're like, I've already answered that question. What's up with this? What's going on in society, whatever.
Right.
But I'm saying, but you find yourself more when you have that kind of foundation. You find yourself gravitating to more people that have those conversations.
Right.
And like I say, that's why like me and him started a podcast with, we just kind of just talk. And I was like, hey man, you know what I'm saying? I kind of been listening to podcasts and like that. You're like, well shit, I thought about doing a blog and stuff like that, whatever the case may be. And you just have those conversations. So I kind of have those conversations with people like that every day because I've kind of always kept those people around me.
Yeah.
So like I say, to talk about politics, like I have a homegirl, whatever, she works for the feds, whatever. She'll call me and she does a lot of adventurous stuff, whatever the case may be. We'll talk about all the adventurous stuff that she's doing, but then we'll talk about that. We might go into some politics. Might on some other stuff, whatever, because that's kind of conversations we have.
Right.
It's like that. So you try to keep those people around. Like, yeah, I like talking about some ratchet shit every once in a while.
Yeah.
But when I need substance, I have a group of people. I have a village that I can go to.
Yeah.
I keep my ratchetness to a minimum. When I feel like a lot of other people keep their their politics or their community involvement to a minimum.
minimum.
And it's like, how do we switch people to realize that this is a critical conversation that we need to have? Nene Leakes or whoever, that's the only person I know.
Yeah, so you keep saying
I don't know
so.
nobody else. Or Kim,
Yeah.
are they still on there?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
whoever on Real Housewives of Atlanta, my mama watched that, or the
Yeah.
Have-Nots,
Yeah.
or whoever. But that stuff is so distracting.
Yeah.
But I think, you know what, though, I can't say this though. You gotta have a balance though. Like for me, like I don't like reality TV. Well, I take that back. I do watch, because that's all what's on TV now, some reality shows. But I don't watch them type of reality shows.
Yeah.
But I do watch football.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna watch Thursday, I'm gonna watch Sunday, morning, night, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm watching football. That's my distraction, like sports.
Yeah.
And I know I could be doing something else, but like you gotta have an outlet somewhere. As long as you're productive in other places too, and that's just not your only focus then.
Well, I asked y'all a question, y'all kind of ignored it.
What's the question?
Are y'all registered to vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
And everybody you know is registered to vote.
Now everybody I know.
Okay.
But the majority of people,
So that's all
I feel with do is like that, because like I said, if it's I don't like talking to people that don't register to vote or don't vote, because they brings into a whole another conversation of like kind of getting into a big discussion or argument.
Yeah.
Because I'll be like, well, why you don't vote? Or why you not registered to vote?
Because they feel like they're
Well, but you know, I don't fuck with the news and blah blah. But I'm like, if some shit happened today and you affected, you're gonna be like, man, it's fucked up. Why am I check this and that, whatever. Well, if you pay attention to what's going on, but you voted, you'll know why this is
I
happening.
voted in local elections and kept up with it.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like I say, it's kind of hard to kind of have those conversations with people like that don't do that. You kind of you want to ask the questions like why you don't do that, just to kind of get them on board.
My thing is, if you can argue with somebody in regards to who is a better basketball player, Kobe or Jordan, then you can argue with a motherfucker about why they don't want to vote.
Oh, very true. But like I said, you can argue with them, but then they'll tell you like they don't have an answer for you themselves.
Yeah.
Right, true. And I think that it's like everybody I talked to that kind of gave me a similar thing.
Yeah.
You have to make it relatable to them. They have to understand that why, if they're not married, or if they are married, or they do have kids, or if they do have this kind of profession, if they do want to pay these taxes, or they like economic development, or they can't find a job, they have to find some way of connecting what's going on in their life to why they should vote.
But you gotta understand too that most people that say they don't vote, they pay attention only to the top of the ticket. They pay attention to who the president gonna be, so like that.
And that's
it's
the
like,
wrong
and it's like,
thing.
you have to break it down to them, be like, like, hey, you know that case that happened the other day that was on the news and shit. They was like, yeah, that's fucked up. Those people got off and blah blah blah. Well, that judge was elected locally. You know what I'm saying? Like the cops, whatever that was involved, the sheriff, whatever was voted like locally. They was voted into their positions. So elections are more than just who the president's gonna be.
Right, and you saw what happened this last election in Houston. There was a total sweep about all of our judges. Now they're Democratic, and so we had 21 black women that was appointed to judgeship in Harris County. What did that mean? People don't understand. That means when our sons or when our daughters of African American or Latino goes in front of them, they're not getting somebody who might have a racist intent. Not all judges do, but there's a possibility if somebody can see themselves of helping them, where they're just saying, oh, give them the worst sentence, when they like, you know what, I'm gonna do like some other people have done others, I'm gonna give you probation. Don't let me see you here for another 6 months. Go do this, and give them a lighter sentence. Because my dad used to work, he's retired he used to be the assistant deputy director for Harris County Juvenile Probation. And that's where I started, because we sat around the table, we talked about that. He saw all these juveniles going through the system, poor ass families that didn't have no money, but they had to figure out, because this person messed up, how they were gonna make an extra $150 to pay every month to the judicial system. It was a cycle of making money off these kids off of dumbass mistakes because they went into a convenience store and stole $10 worth of something.
Right.
But
I'm not gonna lie, I used to be one of those people who didn't vote. Was like, man, that shit's dumb.
Punch in the face.
Friend. But listen. I was also like, you know what? I'm looking at the presidential race and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, this shit. It doesn't matter if you vote in Texas because it's you got those what's it called with like the votes and stuff like that. Electoral votes. The electoral college. Yeah. And I'm like, this shit's stupid. Like, why are you voting? And it doesn't really matter. Your vote doesn't really count.
Because that's what's been programmed in your head. That like, hey, I'm voting for the president.
That's what the white man has told you.
But I'm getting to my point though. Locally though, now the older I get, like I own a house and stuff, trying to own property and stuff like that. Now I'm starting to see the importance of the
bring it back to the importance of your local
election. I still feel like that president stuff is some bullshit. I'm not gonna lie, but locally though, I'm cool with voting locally and stuff like that.
Well, local elections, early vote starts October 21st. the November 5th, so go out there and vote. Hopefully everybody's registered to vote at this point.
I mean, I've done voter drive, voter registration drive, all that kind of stuff.
So,
I've been voting since I was.
But my whole thing is check your friends, check your family. Like I was getting people IDs on my phone. Mofo, you're not registered. We have to start taking stuff like that serious. I know we talked offline about it, but the Dallas case that the lady was just found, the Dallas police officer who was found guilty for shooting a black man in his own apartment and said she went into, thought it was her apartment. Like I said, how that happened was because there was 5 black jurors because they were active voters who registered to vote. So if we understand the cycle of what that means, go and get registered, take jury duty serious. Because if there was no African Americans around that table, who knows what could have been the outcome. We have to be there at the table if we want a voice in the judicial system.
No, one thing I can say though, and this is just my opinion, I feel like African Americans are too damn forgiving. You see, she only got 10 years.
Fuck her. She should have got way more than
that.
that. She's only got 10 years. Her whole family.
And I may be wrong. I may be wrong, but I think she can get off. She can get paroled after 5 years.
Yeah. More likely.
And her brother,
they don't value our lives.
Dude's brother, but it was the jurors though who decided that shit.
Yeah, jurors.
Yeah, and so her brother went up there and gave her a hug for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, his brother.
His brother gave her a hug for 3 minutes, and the judge gave her a hug. The black judge. What the fuck? Like you don't never see that shit. Yeah. So like, what's really going on? You know,
as a people though, we've always been a forgiving people.
We have.
You know what I'm saying? To our detriment.
I just really don't understand what was going on there. That's why I haven't even commented on it, because I was like, people were talking about it earlier when I saw it. I haven't even commented on it because I feel like there's something going on there, because there was no way that both of them went up and hugged her for no, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Apparently I think they were dating. They were some way involved, because like he was sitting on the couch watching TV and she came into his apartment and thought it was hers.
Oh, well, I'm talking about like the judge.
Oh,
like
that
the judge hugging her doesn't make sense at all.
And you see the bailiff like trying to fix her hair and shit like that.
The bailiff was fixing her hair.
Like she cried those little crocodile tears and a little ugly face. Like, you know what? I guess the church told me to forgive, and
and the really messed up part about it is the fact that the reason why, like I think a lot of the case got turned out how it did was the fact that they couldn't dirty him up. Like I said, all his pictures or whatever was a suicide stuff. We can't really find nothing to use against him, like him holding money in a picture and
got a gun.
They tried to say he smoked weed.
Yeah. They did. They tried to they said he had weed in his apartment.
Yeah. Then they said she smoked weed.
Right. So they were smoking weed together. So shut the fuck up.
But my whole thing was like with the brother hugging her and everything, like, and I understand forgiveness, and to be honest with you, I'm an advocate for people forgiving people, because I believe forgiveness is for you. It's not really even for the other person, which is why I have an issue with them doing it. Like, I can't say nothing about it because I'm not in the situation. Yeah. But that's his. However you want to deal with it, it's him. But like, to put on the show to me is a problem. Yeah. Like, I feel like you.
And it need to be for cameras.
To me, as a people, we have always been forgiving. Master slash our back, and we sorry for making him do that to us. Like when they did the Charleston church.
Yeah. You got some shooting.
Oh my gosh! Every one of those people came back, and I get that they from church. They all stood in front of him like, we forgive him for what he came and did. Man, kill him.
But see, that's my thing though. That's that forgiveness to me. And like I said, I wouldn't put it on a show and I wouldn't tell nobody. But to me, I would have to forgive people. Yeah. Like, I have to forgive because I'm not fixing to hate you, because hate ain't gonna do shit for you, because you gonna still keep living your fucking life.
And they don't have to publicly forgive them.
Yeah, I don't think you have to publicly forgive them.
So public display and just go above and beyond this shit.
That shit was stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like, there's a part that you have to go through the grieving process. Yeah. And when you go through the grieving process, I don't know, maybe I just never got there, but I feel like if someone had killed my family member, it would take a lot. And yes, you're right. For you to sit there and have hate on your heart probably would hurt you more than it would hurt them. Yeah. So you need to figure out how to get over it. But
like I said, the show is.
I would have to understand more context of it, but at the end of the day, like I say, the way it looked to me in the show of it, it looked at it like somebody was like, give me a hug, shit happens. Like, you kill my brother, shit happens. It's like, what the fuck? Like,
what's the Wusan moment?
That was our Wusan moment. it just didn't really calm down.
It did.
Yeah, so.
Woosah moment. I think we're progressing. I think we're progressing more than we're digressing.
I think we're waking up. I guess that everybody wants to be woke, so I guess we're waking up.
So many people think they woke, but they really still.
Just overdo it sometimes. Yeah.
More conversations in spaces like this is what pushes the culture and helps us.
The HR bill 40 that Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee pushed for reparations, or the discussion for it. So that's actually was a movement 3 months ago where she went in front of the legislative Congress and basically said we just need to discuss the fact that there needs to be some type of reparations, and it does not necessarily mean financial. There needs to be some restitute. There is a disparity. Just study it. Understand that there have been so many systematic ways that we have been set up to be left behind, and it wasn't at the end of slavery, because you can't tell me that slavery ended and black people, became prosperous.
Right.
They sat there and had the Jim Crow laws. That pushed us back. They had to do affirmative action just to get some of us into businesses, but then that didn't even make sure that we got to the top. Ain't no black people doing nothing.
Yeah, but like Washington, I think it's gonna come from conversations, and like I said earlier, education, more space, more conversations in spaces like this, or even in spaces where we can all get together and have like a big conversation. Where because they haven't been active in a while, but there was a roundtable convo that I used to be a part of, and they used to have actual events where they would have conversations. And so I think what we need to do is have more conversations. And
conversations that lead to action.
I was just gonna say, just like you just said earlier about you need to already have the answers, the question answered. Let's come with a plan. Let's have the conversation, but leave with a plan.
I think that it definitely needs to start somewhere with black banking also. That we have to figure out how we can channel all of our resources to actually give back to our community, instead of what we do is we go and beg and plead from the top national banks. And we do have Unity Bank here in Houston, Texas, but they only have 2 locations, and they have one off Blodgett and one off 2234. So when I thought about going to give my money there, it wasn't, I gave a small amount, but it was just so inconvenient. And then when I talked to the one of the owners or the project manager, because we were trying to do a project with them, it was because they didn't have that much money that they could not open another location, and they were trying to do a drive where every black person in the city limits of Houston gave $100, that will build enough capital that they can have another location. And as they did that, they will open up more, let your money.
But even at the same time though, we need to have more than one bank, like more than one brand, not the same bank with different branches. That's cool. But we need more people to open banks.
Well, I think that will start giving more money back to the small businesses, because now we're going to Wells Fargo and we already saw what they did. They just got a settlement against the fact that they were doing discriminatory practices.
But like I say, it goes into, like you saying, like the stuff earlier, have proper planning, because like I said, we are the detriment to ourselves when something fails. We're like, oh fuck it, it blew up. Like I said, we all invest in this one bank. You put all of them saying it builds another location, whatever this building, and then they end up fucking something with the money. And everybody, oh fuck black banks.
So the FDIC would not allow that. That's
what we're waiting on with us. So like I say, you have you gotta protect it. You gotta be like, we gotta nourish this. We gotta build this up.
I think we need to seek also doing black businesses. Make sure that y'all have the opportunity to go and get a doctor. Go and do your research. It took me 3 days to find a black doctor that was in my area, and they're scarce, but you gotta want to put forth that effort. And if we all put forth effort to find the couple of restaurants, the couple of doctors, a couple of whatever, auto mechanics and places that give back to our community, we have to figure out how to start cycling money to ourselves.
But I think slowly and surely, I'm starting to hear of more people like African Americans going to school to be doctors and lawyers.
We have the black pages. Google it. We have the. I mean, that was one place that I started.
I think our next generation, like our kids and stuff, it won't be so hard for them to find a black doctor.
It won't be, but you what we talking about, how we sat around the table and talked about that. Whenever we talk about it, if y'all have kids, y'all need to talk about it. Y'all have cousins, aunts, uncles. Everybody needs to start talking about it, because it's also your responsibility to share the knowledge.
Yeah.
I remember I saw on Facebook the other day that was like, stop telling the tall black kid that, hey, you're going to be in the NBA when you get older.
Right.
Tell them you're going to be a doctor. Tell them you're going to be a lawyer or something,
But it's also about your environment. People don't want to be what they don't know.
That's how we need to change that culture.
Right.
Exactly. Well, I mean, we're going to go ahead and call it. We're going to call it that one.
We're going to call it. These conversations can go for hours.
Yeah, they can. Keep going. So before we get out of here, y'all want to plug your social media, whatever else y'all got.
You go first. You
Okay.
like it? Not sure.
So my personal social media is Yo Girl Honeybee. So it's YO_girl_honey_B, just the letter. Then we have our podcast one, which is Everythang with the A Culture. We have our Instagram, which is
Instagram is THANG. Everything Culture on Instagram.
Twitter is the
Yeah.
different ones. Yeah, Everything Culture is on Instagram, and Twitter is THNG Culture. So.
You can follow me on Instagram at G_JAXX.
And we would be remiss to tell y'all not to follow Mr. D713 out there in Seattle. He's doing big things. He's actually posting a lot of things that are culturally happening. I think Seattle has less than a 7% population of African Americans, so he's finding his way.
Yeah.
Making my way down.
Apparently a lot of homeless people in Seattle too.
On crack
Yeah.
or opioids.
They say you saw somebody actually do crack for the first time.
So
Yeah.
ooh, yeah, real.
Well, I know because like it's always raining and dread. Like I know a couple people that stayed in Seattle. They was like he said, it's like the weather makes you feel down and stuff like that.
When it's a sunny day, they let you go home and enjoy the weather. Damn.
Because they're few and far between.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But damn, well, that's like I said. Again, we appreciate y'all coming on.
Definitely.
Having this good discussion because we like talking about everything, but it's also good like to have like this kind of positive. I like this kind of conversation.
Like a real conversation.
Yeah, the real conversation.
We can talk about hitting the club. What's up?
That's real
We
conversation
can
too.
talk about relationships. Fuck them niggas.
Yeah,
No, I'm joking.
yeah, that's real shit.
Do
But
they
like I
still
said,
do the bunny hop at the club?
that was my shit at
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, that means that we can always come back and maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, always.
We definitely have to have y'all on our podcast.
Definitely.
Well, let us know we do.
Yeah, we'll make sure Ashley's available for that too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Ashley, with your accident prone self, we gotta find out what's going on with you
Yeah.
and stuff. But hey, as always, we laughed a little, learned a lot, and we hope we have helped you find the remedy to whatever's troubling you. This is What's the Remedy Podcast.
All right, y'all.
We out.